I've been a long-haul truck driver for almost 12 years. I've driven through deserts where the road melts into the horizon, and mountains pass where one mistake can end your life. I've slept in rest stops filled with strangers and eaten meals at diners that haven't changed since the 1970s. I'm saying this so you understand something important. I'm not the kind of person who scares easily. That's why what happened to me in northern Nevada still doesn't make sense. It started as a normal overnight haul. Frozen goods, scheduled delivery in Idaho, nothing unusual. The route was familiar, but dispatch asked me to take a detour because of construction further north. It added about 2 hours to the drive, mostly back roads and long stretches of highway with no service. I didn't argue. Detours are part of the job. The sun went down fast that night. 1 minute the desert was orange, the next it was black. No streetlights. No towns. Just my headlights cutting into an empty road and the hum of the engine keeping me company. Around 1:40 a.m., my radio started acting strange. Not static, voices. At first, I thought I'd accidentally picked up a CB channel. Truckers talk all the time, especially on night routes. But this didn't sound like chatter. It sounded slow. Like someone was talking just to hear their own voice. I reached for the dial, but the sound cut out before I touched it. A few miles later, I saw something that made me slow down. A truck. Same model as mine. Same color. Same trailer markings. It was ahead of me, doing the same speed. That alone isn't impossible. But the thing that bothered me was the license plate. It matched mine. I told myself I was tired. Eyes playing tricks on me. I blinked hard, adjusted my mirrors, and when I looked again, the truck was gone. No turnoff. No side road. Just gone. I didn't stop. You don't stop in places like that. About 20 minutes later, I passed a way station. It was closed, lights off, gates down. As I drove by, my headlights swept across the building, and I saw someone standing inside the window. They weren't moving. Just standing there. Watching the road. I checked my side mirror after passing it, and for a split second, I saw headlights behind me. Too close. Like a truck drafting inches from my trailer. But when I looked again, nothing. That's when my GPS rerouted. No warning. No notification. Just a sudden turn arrow pointing off the highway onto a narrow service road I'd never seen before. The map labeled it with no name. Just a thin gray line cutting through nothing. I should have ignored it. Instead, I followed it. The road was rough, cracked, barely wide enough for my rig. No reflectors. No mile markers. Trees closed in on both sides, blocking out the stars. My radio turned on by itself. A voice came through. Not distorted. Not ghostly. Calm. Male. This route isn't finished. I slammed the radio off. My phone had no signal. The GPS froze. The road kept going. Then I saw the truck again. Parked on the shoulder. Same truck. Same markings. Engine off. Driver's door open. I slowed to a stop without realizing I was doing it. The cab was empty. No driver. No movement. Just darkness inside. That's when I noticed something painted on the trailer door. White letters. Uneven. Like they'd been written with a shaking hand. You missed your turn. My engine stalled. The lights went out. And something knocked on my door from the outside. I don't remember how long I sat there after the knock. I know I didn't open the door. Every instinct I had screamed not to. Truckers learn early that you don't open your cab at night on roads you don't recognize. You keep the engine running. You keep the doors locked. You don't engage. But my engine was dead. The knock came again. Not aggressive. Not desperate. Calm. Measured. Like whoever, or whatever, was outside knew I wasn't going anywhere. Then it stopped. The lights flickered back on by themselves. The dashboard came alive. Engine temperature normal. Fuel fine. No warning lights. It was like the truck had never shut down at all. I didn't wait. I started the engine and pulled back onto the road without looking at the parked truck again. I didn't check the mirrors. I didn't check the shoulder. I just drove. The road felt wrong after that. Not dangerous. Not broken. Just unfamiliar in a way I can't explain. The mile markers stopped appearing. The GPS stayed frozen, still showing that thin gray line with no name. My radio stayed off, no matter what button I pressed. I kept driving for what felt like hours. But the clock didn't move. The dashboard still reads 2:03 a.m. That's when I noticed my logbook. I keep my logs tight. Always have. It's a habit after years of inspections and fines. I glanced at it out of boredom, then looked again when something didn't add up. According to my logbook, I had already driven this route before. Same detour. Same timestamp. Same road. There were entries written in my handwriting that I didn't remember making. Notes about unmarked station, duplicate vehicle, and one line I swear I never wrote. Do not stop again. My hands were shaking when I put the logbook down. I told myself exhaustion was catching up with me. Long hours can mess with your head. Truckers talk about it all the time: microsleep, hallucinations, time distortion. I leaned into that explanation because the alternative didn't make sense. Then I saw the sign. A green highway sign appeared out of nowhere, illuminated by my headlights. It didn't list a town. It listed a date. November 17th. No year. No distance. Just the date. I passed it, heart pounding, and checked the calendar on my phone. November 17th had already passed. By 3 days. I tried calling dispatch again. Still no signal. Not even an emergency bar. My phone screen flickered, then opened my camera app by itself. The screen showed the road behind me. And headlights. Right on my bumper. The same truck. I knew it before I even zoomed in. Same trailer damage. Same faded sticker on the rear door. Same license plate. Mine. I checked the mirrors. Nothing. I checked the camera again. Still there. I accelerated. The speedometer climbed. The headlights on my phone stayed the same distance away. Perfectly matched. My radio clicked on. Same calm voice. You already logged this part. I shouted back without thinking. I asked who they were. I asked what they wanted. My voice echoed inside the cab like I was yelling into an empty room. The reply came immediately. We want you to finish the route. I slammed the brakes. The truck behind me disappeared from the phone screen. So did the road. I was parked in a rest area. Morning light streamed through the windshield. Birds chirped. Other trucks were parked nearby, engines idling, drivers walking around like nothing was wrong. My clock read 6:48 a.m. I checked my fuel. Half gone. I checked my logs. 8 hours recorded. I checked my trailer. Still sealed. Still intact. I approached another driver, a guy drinking coffee beside his rig. I asked him how long this rest stop had been here. He looked at me strangely. Always been here, he said. You okay, man? You look rough. I asked him if he'd seen a truck like mine come in during the night. He shook his head. Only one like that is yours. I should have quit right there. Instead, I finished the delivery. Idaho was normal. The dock workers were normal. Paperwork checked out. No one questioned the logs. No one flagged the extra hours. When I got back on the road 2 days later, I found something folded into my logbook. A fresh page. Same handwriting. New message. One more run. I threw the logbook away at the next stop. That night, my phone recorded audio on its own. Just breathing. Counting. Matching mine. I didn't sleep after that. I sat in my truck at a rest stop in Utah, engine off, curtains open, watching other drivers come and go. Every time headlights swept past my cab, my chest tightened. I kept expecting to see that same truck again. The one that matched mine too perfectly. By morning, I convinced myself to do something I should have done earlier. I went to the police. I didn't tell them everything. I kept it practical. I told them about the detour, the duplicate truck, the missing hours. I showed them my logs. I showed them the unexplained fuel loss. I even showed them the audio recording on my phone, the breathing, the counting. The officer listened quietly. Didn't interrupt. Didn't laugh. Then he asked me something that made my stomach drop. "Do you run a dash cam?" I nodded. He asked if he could see the footage from the night I went missing for 8 hours. When we played it back, I realized something immediately. The footage didn't match my memory. According to the dash cam, I never took the service road. I never stopped. I stayed on the main highway the entire time. No detour. No parked truck. No way station. Just miles of empty road. But the timestamp told a different story. Between 1:58 a.m. and 6:41 a.m., the footage jumped. 5 hours missing. No corruption warnings. No file damage. Just, gone. The officer left the room and returned with someone else. Older. Higher rank. He asked me to repeat everything from the beginning. This time, I didn't hold back. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and sighed like someone who had heard the story before. He told me they get reports like mine every few years. Always truck drivers. Always night routes. Always detours through remote highways. Always missing time. Most drivers never report it. They chalk it up to exhaustion or quit trucking altogether. A few push harder. Those are the ones who disappear. He showed me a binder. Inside were photos of trucks that looked identical to mine. Same make. Same trailers. Same minor dents. Same stickers placed by different drivers over the years. Different license plates. Different names. Same routes. Every driver had one thing in common. They had logged a route that technically didn't exist. A route that never appeared on official maps. But always appeared on GPS units at night. The officer told me something I still don't fully understand. When enough drivers believe a road exists, he said, it becomes easier to take. I asked him what was doing. He didn't answer. Instead, he told me to sell my truck. Leave long haul. Never drive at night again. And never respond if my radio turned on by itself. I quit 2 weeks later. Sold the rig. Took a warehouse job. Day shift. Same city. Same routine. Safe. Or so I thought. Months passed. Then one night, driving home, I passed a truck stop I'd never noticed before. No signs. No branding. Just pumps, dark windows, and parked rigs. Every truck looked familiar. Too familiar. At home, my phone buzzed. A notification from a trucking app one hadn't used since quitting. Route available. I deleted the app. The notification came back. Different name. Same route. I powered the phone off. At 3:12 a.m., it turned back on. Audio recording started automatically. No breathing this time. Just a voice. Calm. Professional. Like dispatch. You're cleared to continue. I don't drive anymore. But sometimes, when I'm on the highway during the day, I see a truck in my side mirror that matches the one I sold. Same faded sticker. Same scratch on the trailer door. And I always do the same thing. I keep my eyes forward. Because I know now. Some routes don't end. They just wait for the next driver to finish them. I've been driving trucks for 15 years, and one thing every experienced driver knows is this: not all truck stops are equal. Some are loud, some are sketchy, some are just forgotten. But there are a few, very few, that drivers avoid without ever agreeing to avoid them. They just stop showing up in conversation. I learned why during a winter haul through eastern Wyoming. It was supposed to be a straight shot. Dry freight, no rush delivery, just miles and time. A snowstorm had started rolling in from the north, light at first but getting worse by the hour. Dispatch suggested I stop early and wait it out. Around 11:30 p.m., I saw a sign ahead. Last truck stop before Montana, 2 miles. I didn't remember it from previous runs, but storms mess with memory. I was tired, low on coffee, and the road ahead was disappearing into white. I took the exit. The truck stop sat alone off the highway, surrounded by nothing but snow and dark land. No other exits. No nearby town. Just a low building, dim lights, and 6 fuel pumps, only one of them active. There were trucks parked, but something felt off immediately. They were all shut down. No idling engines. No interior lights. No movement. Inside the building, the air was warm but stale. The kind of warmth that feels recycled too many times. The cashier was an older man, thin, gray beard, eyes a little too alert for someone working nights in the middle of nowhere. He didn't greet me. Just watched. I grabbed coffee and asked if the storm was expected to get worse. He nodded once. Road closes sometimes, he said. Montana side doesn't like night traffic in storms. That didn't sound right, but I let it go. While I waited, I noticed something strange about the other drivers inside. There were maybe 8 of them, sitting separately, not talking. No phones out. No TVs on. Just staring into cups, or at the walls. One man caught me looking and shook his head slightly. A warning. I fueled up and went back to my truck, planning to sleep until morning. As I climbed into the cab, I saw the man who had warned me standing outside his rig, watching me. He didn't smile. He just mouthed 3 words. Don't stay long. I locked my doors. I woke up to silence. That doesn't sound scary, but if you've ever slept in a truck stop, you know silence is wrong. No engines. No wind. No distant highway noise. My clock said 3:08 a.m. Snow covered everything. Thick. Undisturbed. Like no one had moved in hours. I turned the key. Nothing. Battery was dead. That didn't make sense. It had been fine hours earlier. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside. The cold hit hard, too hard. My breath fogged instantly, and the air felt heavy, like it pressed back. That's when I noticed the other trucks. They were older than I remembered. Rusted. Snow piled high against tires that looked half-buried. Some had DOT numbers that were scratched out. Some had company logos I recognized, but logos that hadn't existed in years. I walked back toward the building. The lights were still on, but the windows were dark from the inside. When I pulled the door open, it didn't chime. The cashier was gone. The coffee was cold. The other drivers were still there. Sitting. Unmoving. I stepped closer and realized something that made my chest tighten. They weren't breathing. Eyes open. Faces pale. Like mannequins posed mid-break. One of them had frost forming along his collar, even though we were indoors. I backed away slowly. The radio in my truck turned on by itself. Static at first. Then a voice. Not panicked. Not threatening. Tired. This stop fills up fast, it said. People get stuck. I ran. I didn't bother with my truck. I ran back toward the highway, snow crunching under my boots, lungs burning. I didn't care where I went as long as it wasn't there. After what felt like miles, I hit pavement. Headlights appeared. A plow truck slowed and stopped beside me. The driver stared like he'd seen a ghost. He asked me where I came from. I pointed behind me. There's nothing there, he said. No truck stop for at least 70 miles. State police took me to a station just over the border. I told them everything. They exchanged looks but didn't argue. One officer finally said something quietly. Drivers used to report a place like that, he said. Years ago. Usually during storms. I asked what happened to the people who stayed. He didn't answer. I never recovered my truck. Insurance wrote it off as abandoned during extreme weather. But here's the part that still keeps me awake. Every winter, when storms roll through Wyoming, my phone gets a notification from a navigation app one deleted long ago. Last truck stop before Montana, open. And sometimes, when I check traffic cams online, I swear I see parked trucks buried in snow where nothing should exist. Waiting. I've been driving long haul for nearly 2 decades, and one rule matters more than any other: if dispatch sounds nervous, you ask questions. If they refuse to answer, you walk away. I didn't walk away. The load offer came in late, close to midnight. Private contractor. Cash bonus. No company name, just a pickup code and coordinates. Destination listed as a distribution yard outside rural Kansas. No red flags on paper, but the dispatcher spoke fast, like he wanted the call over with. Before hanging up, he said something that stuck with me. If anything feels off, don't stop. Don't open your doors. And don't unhook the trailer. I laughed and said I'd heard worse. He didn't laugh back. Pickup was at an abandoned manufacturing lot in southern Missouri. No signage, no lights except one flickering lamp near a loading bay. A forklift was already waiting when I arrived, engine running, operator wearing a reflective vest but no company logo. He didn't speak. Just handed me paperwork through the window. The cargo description was vague: sealed units. Weight was heavy. Heavier than listed. As they loaded the trailer, I felt it: movement. Subtle, but real. Like the load settled on its own. I chalked it up to poor weight distribution. I shouldn't have. The moment the trailer doors closed, my radio clicked on. Static. Then silence. Then a voice that wasn't on any channel. Don't slow down. I shut the radio off and pulled out. The first few hours were normal. Highway lights. Passing traffic. Midnight radio talk fading in and out. Around 2:15 a.m., I noticed something odd: no one passed me. Not once. No cars. No trucks. Not even in the opposite lanes. Just me. Then the banging started. Not loud. Not violent. Rhythmic. 3 knocks from inside the trailer. Pause. 3 more. I slowed instinctively, then remembered the dispatcher's words. Don't stop. The knocks followed my speed. Slower when I slowed. Faster when I accelerated. I turned the radio back on. The same voice returned, clearer now. You weren't supposed to notice. I told myself stress was getting to me. Long hours. Empty roads. I needed proof before panicking. At the next way station, I pulled in. The station was abandoned. Gates up. Lights off. The knocking stopped the moment I parked. I stepped out, walked to the trailer doors, and pressed my ear against the metal. Nothing. No sound. No movement. I grabbed my flashlight and checked the seal. It was intact. But there were scratches on the inside of the door. Deep ones. Like fingernails. I backed away and got back in the cab. That's when my phone rang. No caller ID. The dispatcher's voice came through, calmer than before. Why did you stop? I asked him what I was hauling. Silence. Then he said, returns. I didn't ask anything else. I drove straight through to Kansas without stopping again. No fuel. No rest. No bathroom. The knocking returned whenever I slowed, softer now, like whoever was inside was tired. As dawn broke, I reached the drop location. It wasn't a warehouse. It was a fenced lot with portable lights and no markings. 2 unmarked trucks were already there. Same trailer type. Same scratches. Men in plain clothes directed me to park, unhook, and leave. I asked them one question. Are they alive? One of the men looked at me, eyes cold. Not for long, he said. I left. I reported the load anonymously weeks later. Police. Anyone who would listen. No record of the pickup location. No record of the contractor. No missing persons reports that matched. Nothing. But every now and then, late at night, I get load offers from unknown numbers. Same coordinates. Same bonus. Same warning. I don't drive nights anymore. But I still hear knocking in my sleep. 3 times. Pause. 3 more.